She left, and it hurts. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it or tell you to pretend it doesn't sting. The bed feels colder. Your phone feels lighter without her name lighting up the screen. Every song, every place, every stupid inside joke now feels like a wound that won't close. You're allowed to feel that. You're human. But here's what most men don't realize in this moment of pain. Her walking away wasn't your ending. It was your awakening. Right now, you're standing at a fork in the road. One path leads to desperation, weakness, and permanent rejection. The other leads to a version of yourself so powerful, so transformed, that she'll lie awake at night, wondering how she let you go. And here's the twist that nobody tells you. By the time she reaches that realization, you won't even want her back. That's not just possible, it's inevitable. But only if you do exactly what I'm about to tell you. Because right now, in this moment of raw emotion, you're about to make a choice. And most men make the wrong one. They choose the path that feels right, but destroys everything. They reach for their phone. They type out the long paragraph explaining their feelings, deleting and rewriting it 17 times before hitting send. They post cryptic quotes on Instagram about loyalty and betrayal, hoping she'll see it and realize what she lost. They show up at places they know she'll be, manufacturing coincidental encounters. They reach out to her friends, asking if she's mentioned them, if there's still a chance, if she seems happy. They send the, "Hey, can we talk?" text at 2 in the morning when the loneliness becomes unbearable. They maintain contact under the disguise of friendship, hoping proximity will reignite something. Every single one of these moves feels like you're doing something. Like you're fighting for what you had, like you're showing her you care. But you're not. You're showing her she made the right decision, because every text you send, every post you make, every attempt to stay in her orbit is screaming one message louder than words ever could. I need you more than you need me, and nothing kills attraction faster than that imbalance. Think about it from her perspective for just a moment. She left because something wasn't working. Maybe she felt you were too available, too predictable, too comfortable. Maybe she convinced herself there was something better out there. Maybe she just wanted to feel desired again, to experience that uncertainty that makes the heart race. Whatever her reason, she made a choice. And in her mind, that choice came with consequences. She expected you to hurt. She expected you to reach out. She expected some reaction. But when you do exactly what she expected, when you behave exactly like the predictable version of yourself she left behind, you confirm every doubt she had. You validate her decision. You become the evidence in her mental case file titled, "Why I Had to Leave." Every desperate attempt to maintain connection is another exhibit proving she was right. The begging messages, Exhibit A, emotional weakness. The drunk texts, Exhibit B, lack of self-control. The social media posts clearly aimed at her, Exhibit C, A, still orbiting her world instead of building your own. You're not fighting to get her back. You're building her confidence in leaving you. You're making it easier for her to move on without a single regret. And here's the cruelest part. While you're stuck in this desperate pattern, she's out there testing the waters. She's exploring her options. She's experiencing the freedom she thought she wanted. And every time you interrupt that process with your need for closure or connection, you remind her why she wanted space in the first place. But there's something else happening beneath the surface that you need to understand. Something psychological that changes everything. Because human beings are wired in a very specific way when it comes to loss. We don't appreciate what we have when we have it. We appreciate what we had when it's gone. And more importantly, we only truly feel the weight of a loss when it becomes permanent. Right now, she hasn't lost you. You're still there, still available, still in her life in some capacity. She can check your social media whenever she wants. She can reach out if she feels like it. She knows that if she changed her mind tomorrow, you'd probably take her back. There's no loss. There's no scarcity. There's just the comfortable knowledge that you're an option she can revisit whenever the grass stops looking greener. But the moment you disappear, everything changes. Suddenly there's a void. Suddenly there's uncertainty. Suddenly she can't check on you, can't gauge your emotional state, can't confirm that you're still hung up on her. That's when the psychological triggers start firing. Loss aversion kicks in. It's one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. We feel the pain of losing something twice as intensely as we feel the pleasure of gaining something. But loss aversion only activates when the loss feels real and permanent, when you're still accessible, still responsive, still clearly affected by her. There's no perceived loss. She's just taking a break, exploring, keeping her options open. But when you vanish completely, when she reaches for the comfort of knowing you're still there and finds nothing, that's when her brain starts panicking. That's when the what if questions begin. What if I made a mistake? What if he's actually moved on? What if someone else sees his value? What if I never get another chance? These thoughts don't come from a place of love. They come from a place of ego and loss. And they're incredibly powerful. Then there's the reality check that hits when the initial excitement of freedom wears off. The grass isn't actually greener. It's just different grass. That guy who seemed so exciting compared to you, he's got his own issues, his own baggage, his own ways of being predictable and annoying. That freedom she thought she wanted, it comes with loneliness on random Tuesday nights and the realization that connection isn't easy to find. The fantasy she built in her head about life without you starts colliding with reality. And in that collision, nostalgia does something powerful. It edits the past. It removes the mundane arguments and boring weekends and highlights the good times. Suddenly, she's remembering the inside jokes, the comfort, the specific way you understood her that nobody else does. But here's the psychological trigger that matters most: seeing you thrive without her. Nothing, and I mean nothing, here creates regret faster than watching someone become the best version of themselves after you leave, because it forces her to confront an uncomfortable question. Did my presence in his life actually hold him back? When you were together, maybe you were comfortable. Maybe you stopped pushing yourself as hard. Maybe you prioritized the relationship over your own growth. But when she sees you transformed, when she sees you physically different, socially thriving, professionally successful, and emotionally at peace, something breaks in her mind. She realizes that her leaving didn't destroy you. It freed you. And that realization is devastating. Because if you're better without her, what does that say about what she brought to your life? These psychological triggers don't activate when you're chasing her. They activate when you disappear and become better. Presence and pleading create pity at best, annoyance at worst. Absence and growth create curiosity, regret, and desire. That's not manipulation. That's human nature. So here's what you're going to do, and you're going to do it starting right now. Complete radio silence. Not the fake kind where you're secretly hoping she notices you're not reaching out. Not the strategic kind where you're counting days until it's acceptable to break it. Complete, authentic, permanent silence. Delete her number. Unfollow her on every platform. Block her if you have to. Remove every easy avenue she has to check on you. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about making her miss you. This is about creating the space you need to actually transform, because you can't rebuild yourself while you're still monitoring her life. You can't become a different person while you're still emotionally tethered to who you were with her. The silence isn't a strategy, it's a necessity. While you're maintaining this silence, you're going to do the work. Not performative improvement designed to make her jealous. Real, fundamental transformation that changes who you are. Start with your body. You're going to train like someone preparing for war. Not 3 times a week when you feel motivated. 6 days a week whether you feel like it or not. Lift heavy. Run far. Push until your body remembers what discipline feels like. Your physical transformation isn't about looking good in potential future photos she might see. It's about rebuilding your relationship with discomfort and commitment. Every rep you don't want to do, but do anyway, is reprogramming your brain. Every morning you drag yourself to the gym when you'd rather sleep in is teaching yourself that your word to yourself matters more than your temporary feelings. Then your career, you're going to pour the energy you were wasting on checking her social media into building something. Take the course you've been putting off. Apply for the promotion you didn't think you deserved. Start the side project that's been sitting in your head for months. Work early, work late. Become obsessed with building value in your professional life. Not because money impresses women. It doesn't, not really. But because competence and purpose are magnetic. And right now, you need purpose more than you need anything else. Your social life needs attention too. You've probably let friendships deteriorate while you were in the relationship. You've probably turned down invitations because you wanted to stay in with her. That ends now. Say yes to everything. Reconnect with old friends. Make new ones. Join communities. Take classes. Attend events. Force yourself into social situations, even when the introvert in you protests. You're not doing this to seem busy or popular. You're doing this because humans are social creatures and isolation breeds depression. You need to be around people who remind you that you're interesting, valuable, and wanted. But here's the part most advice skips: the emotional work, the unglamorous, uncomfortable therapy level work of actually processing what happened, not burying it under gym sessions and work projects. Actually feeling it, understanding it, and healing from it. Journal every day. Write out the patterns you see in yourself. The ways you showed up wrong in the relationship. The red flags you ignored. The version of yourself you compromised to keep her comfortable. This isn't about blame. It's about awareness. You can't become different if you don't understand what needs to change. This is the work that transforms you from someone she left into someone she couldn't afford to lose. And none of it, not one single piece of it, is about her. It's about you finally becoming the man you were always capable of being before you made someone else your purpose. Because here's what's really happening during these months of silence and transformation. You're not becoming someone she'll miss. You're becoming someone you'll finally respect. That confidence people talk about, the kind that's magnetic and authentic, it doesn't come from affirmations or fake it till you make it nonsense. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. It comes from doing hard things when nobody's watching. It comes from building a life so genuinely fulfilling that external validation be optional rather than essential. When you look in the mirror 6 months from now and see someone who honored their word to themselves every single day, someone who chose growth over comfort, someone who transformed pain into purpose, that's when everything shifts. You're not the same person she left. You don't think the same. You don't move through the world the same. Your standards change. The things you tolerated before now seem absurd. The version of love you accepted now seems like a poor substitute for what you actually deserve. Your mindset evolves from scarcity to abundance. You stop seeing her as the one who got away and start seeing her as the person who wasn't meant to stay. You stop romanticizing the past and start getting honest about what actually was. You remember the fights you minimized, the incompatibilities you overlooked, the times you felt small or unappreciated, but stayed anyway. You realize that the person you're grieving isn't even real. She's an edited highlight reel your lonely brain created to justify the pain. And when that clarity hits, when you see the relationship for what it actually was rather than what you wished it could be, something powerful happens. You stop wanting her back. You stop checking to see if she's watching your progress. You stop crafting your life with her as the invisible audience. You just live fully, presently, for yourself. You date other people, not as distractions or revenge, but as genuine explorations of connection. And you discover that there are women out there who match your energy, who appreciate your growth, who don't need you to shrink to make them feel bigger. You rebuild your life with better materials, better boundaries, better standards, better self-awareness. You become the kind of man who walks away from what doesn't serve him without explanation or guilt. The kind of man who values his peace more than he values being wanted. The kind of man who spent months proving to himself that he can keep promises, overcome challenges, and build something from nothing. And here's the paradox that makes all of this beautiful. By the time she realizes what she lost, by the time she sees the transformed version of you and feels that pang of regret, by the time she reaches out with some excuse to reconnect, you genuinely won't care. Not because you're pretending, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself that needed her validation. The real victory isn't her regret, it's your indifference. It's looking at someone who once had the power to destroy your day with a single text and feeling nothing but mild curiosity about who they've become. It's realizing that the relationship you mourned was actually the cage you needed to escape. Her leaving wasn't your loss, it was your liberation. And everything you built in the aftermath, every uncomfortable morning in the gym, every night you chose growth over distraction, every moment you kept going when giving up felt easier, that's the real win. You don't need her to regret leaving to validate your worth. Your worth was never up for debate. You just needed to finally see it yourself. So let her wonder. Let her scroll through mutual friends, trying to get glimpses of your life. Let her hear through the grapevine about how different you are. Let her feel whatever she's going to feel, because you'll be too busy building a life you don't need to escape from to notice. That's the ultimate revenge, not needing one.